All right, so in this video, I'm going to be discussing stadium renovations, specifically the rare times we've seen stadium renovations make it actually worse. Normally, when a stadium gets renovated, 95, maybe 99% of the time, it is a positive thing. I covered a video on stadiums that were saved by renovations. We're going to go through a few that I think got actually worse for whatever reason because they were renovated in some form or another. And the first two examples are both going to be upper deck renovations where they remove seating. The first one with the NFL, it is FedEx Field. Now, this situation in general is just terrible. The Commanders are in kind of a weird influx where everyone knows they're getting a new stadium, but right now they've got an ownership problem. They're selling the team. They really can't talk about getting a new stadium in place until the team is sold. And in the meantime, we've seen, it's kind of an ongoing joke I've had. It's like every year we've seen FedEx Field's upper deck slowly get eaten away. Like it's infected with some type of disease. Every single year, there's less and less and less seats. It's almost at the point where they're just going to remove the entire upper deck. Now, what they've done to it is you can just tell it's completely cheap. They've put some type of foam boxes around some of the seats. Some of the other seats they just straight up removed. Now, FedEx Field used to be just like a giant upper deck and it was really boring, but because of their attendance issues, they've decided to quote unquote renovate it. But with them knowing they're going to be getting a new stadium anyways, the renovation has been done really cheap to where they're just removing seats and it looks horrible. And at this point, in some of the areas of the upper deck, there's literally 5 rows and then all the rest of them are removed. There's a big box behind it with like a FedEx Field advertisement on it. And you can see with some of the areas they've made it standing room only in the upper deck. I mean, the whole thing is just a complete debacle, and it's done because they don't want to put a lot of money into FedEx Field. It's kind of the same thing with the Athletics and the Coliseum. If there's one stadium in the MLB that needs to be renovated, it's the Coliseum. But is there a point to renovating it? Absolutely not. They're going to be leaving. They're probably moving the A's are from the Coliseum in the coming years, either that or they're getting a new stadium. So in the meantime, they're in kind of a weird, sort of transition period. There's no point in renovating their horrible stadium because they're just going to leave it. It's the same thing with the Commanders and FedEx Field. We understand they've had attendance issues, so you want to remove those seats, but the way they did it was just extremely cheap, and they really didn't invest anything into it. They just removed them and put a bunch of weird-looking boxes up around the other seats in their upper deck. And it's been 3 straight years, you see less and less seats in the upper deck of FedEx Field. That is a bad renovation. And then the other botched upper deck renovation, it has to be the shipping containers at Progressive Field with the Guardians. Now, it was originally announced, the original renderings for it, they were decent. It kind of looked like the Coors Field rooftop situation. Now, the Guardians really don't draw enough fans to put a bar in their upper deck. It probably wouldn't be used most games. So it was looking like they were going to kind of do the next best thing. The problem is they got so cheap. They built these things. And the issue with what the Guardians did, if you actually look at the way their right field upper deck is designed, they kept the rows going up to the seats, meaning there's a gap in between each of the little pods that you're supposed to sit in, which gives the look of a literal, let's be honest, a shipping container. That's what it looks like, and the reason it looks like it is because they kept the aisles and it splits all the pods and it gives the look of the container. So, I mean, it's completely ugly. It was done really weak. I know, Progressive Field's gotten a lot of really good renovations, but they've already announced because this renovation was so bad, they're actually renovating the renovation. And I believe in the offseason of 2024, they're going back up there, they're ripping all the pods out, and they're replacing them with kind of a bar area And they also have, I think this is dumb as well, but they've decided to put solar panels up in the upper deck, which makes 0 sense in Ohio. Unless they got those solar panels for free, it's going to at least take you 7 or 8 years to get, your return on investment in a solar panel in Ohio with the limited sunlight. If you want to buy a solar panel, it should be going up somewhere in Africa, somewhere in Arizona. I don't know why they're putting solar panels in a stadium. It doesn't make any sense. Why don't they actually renovate it normally? And then, guys, you can see this. This is not happening, but I do think it's pretty cool. It looks like, now this is down the third baseline. It looks like a mall. Like, do you see those escalators right there? But no, unfortunately, I wish they did that. That's not happening. What's actually happening down the right or down the third baseline is more of the same. It's just more solar panels going up, and they're ripping out about 4 sections of upper deck seating over there as well. So that was clearly a botched renovation. They've admitted it, and they are switching it. The next one, this one's really subjective, and I understand people really do like this new bar at Lone Depot Park. But guys, that statue, everyone says it was ugly. They really didn't have to do what they did to it. That was disrespectful. They put it out in the rain. I actually like the statue. It gave the park character, the home run sculpture or whatever it is. And I don't like that they moved it personally. And don't we have enough standing room only areas in these ballparks already? They got to make another one at Lone Depot Park. Also, it wasn't a renovation per se, but removing the aquarium behind home plate, I mean, that's a sin, let's be honest. That thing was so cool. Just because the outer screen cracked, they decided to remove it when none of the fish got harmed or anything. It's 1 in a million. It's a beautiful feature of a stadium. It's so futuristic. Why go overboard and remove it? It doesn't make any sense. So that was sad to see that removed. And then the next so-called renovation, well, this is probably not a renovation, but just I think they went way overboard on how they did this. So Oriole Park at Camden Yards, right? Their left field was ridiculously short. They were having trouble developing young pitchers because it was such a hitter's park. I understand moving the fence a little bit back in left field. The issue is they went so overboard. Not only did they move the fence way back in left field, but they raised it too. I don't think you can really do that. You shouldn't be able to move it back and raise it, but they did both of those things, and now it's very hard to hit home runs to left field at Oriole Park at Camden Yards. It was this crazy offensive environment. Again, I get it. You're trying to develop young pitchers. You want to have them, have a chance, but you went so overboard on moving the wall back and up. It's just a complete overreaction. And I think it takes away from some of the funness of Oriole Park at Camden Yards. And then this is another situation. This is Oracle Park, formerly AT&T. So they decided to move their bullpens to center field. They took away Triples Alley, which was such a great part of this stadium. It was just such a wonderful cork, and they put like a garden out there or something, and they also took out some of the seating in center field. So, I understand moving the bullpens. You don't want them on, down the first and the third baseline in foul territory, although I like that. I think it's a fun little feature of a ballpark. I get why they want to move them out. But taking away seating, outfield seating, I never like when they do that, especially when there's already limited outfield seating as it is at Oracle Park. And then also you're taking away one of the best corks that makes the ballpark unique, which is Triples Alley. It used to be very hard to hit a home run to right center field in San Francisco. Anytime you hit a ball there, it would roll forever. It was a guaranteed triple. It was a fun, unique feature that they decided to remove that unfortunately, I think is just, I get we're trying to get more offense, but now you're starting to take away from a ballpark's uniqueness, and that's why I don't like that renovation. And also, you're instilling a garden. I know they did that in center field. I just think you're trying to do too much with that. I mean, what are we growing? Lettuce? It's a baseball game. We don't need to be doing that. And then the final one, it is the removal of Tal's Hill, another unique feature that didn't need to be removed. Of course, they're going to say with how soft everything is in the 21st century, oh my God, it's a safety hazard. Yeah, 1 in a million. If a dude actually injures himself running up there, I mean, maybe it's once every 3 years. It barely happens. It's a great feature. It's just a little hill. It makes center field ridiculously hard to hit a home run. And technically, this was a renovation because they decided to actually, during the removal of Tal's Hill, replace some of those sections of seating with drinking rails, which is really all they do. I mean, really, at this point, if you go to a baseball stadium, there's a 50-50 chance you're going to leave being an alcoholic. Everything is getting replaced with drinking rails. To me, it looks really ugly. I don't like the look of drinking rails, but that's what they're doing. It's like a social gathering area now, and removing Tal's Hill, it's just such a 21st century. Oh my God. Someone might get injured. Yeah, maybe 1 in a million. You're not going to get sued for it. It's not a big deal. But they decided to remove that. Also, it's another thing where if it is 436 feet to center, it's going to limit the home runs. And with the way the MLB is, you've seen virtually everyone outside of Oriole Park move their fences in or keep them the same. But everyone's moving their fences in. That's just kind of a common thing. Sometimes I think it does benefit the ballpark when you move the fences in. Like Lone Depot Park, they were way too deep. They did a good job moving it in, making it a more even playing field. Citi Field did an amazing thing with the party deck out in left field, moving their fences in. So it can definitely work and enhance the ballpark, but there are times where it really takes away from some of the factors of stadiums that we like Triples Alley, like Tal's Hill, like Oriole Park. Well, I mean, I understand the Oriole Park one. It was a little ridiculous. Left field was so shallow. You hit a pop-up, it's a home run. But you can move the fence back, but don't also raise it. Now it becomes so hard to hit a home run to left. I just thought that was a little bit of an overkill. So guys, those are the rare times where I do think stadium renovations might have made the ballpark or stadium worse. But that's going to do it for this video. Make sure you're following me on Twitter. Link to that's always in the description.